90 miles off the coast of Bressus lies an island shielded by brutal hurricanes where a rogue mariner culture guards secrets older than recorded history and a dark curse born from the depths of the sea. Welcome to this continuation of my DireLands system-agnostic dark fantasy campaign setting. My name is Adam, and in this episode, I will be discussing the dark secrets of Chiad Acarsaid and the Sea King of DireLands. If you appreciate the development of this campaign setting, or the features of other games on this channel, I'd like to invite you to consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You can even purchase tabletop role-playing games, or get $10 signing up to start playing.games using my affiliate links in the description below. Long before 1800 AM, or after men arrived from the west, a legendary fleet of mariners known as the TTRPG, commonly referred to as the Biochte by the First Nations people of Fall Est, made landfall on a 630 square mile island. They named it Chiad Acarsaid, the first haven. It was meant to be a sanctuary, a staging ground for a grand enterprise across uncharted waters. But as this ancient culture began to push outward and gaze upon the vast mainland looming on the horizon, a bitter, irreconcilable ideological schism tore them apart. One group, the Kionzia, burned with an unyielding ambition. They wanted to march inland, tame the wild interior, and conquer the primitive tribes of Fall Est, iron and blood. But the other faction, the Chaladir, vehemently refused to abandon the waves that had borne them across the horizon. They believed their true destiny belonged forever in the open tides of Jirafa, the sea god. The divergence of vision severed the mariners forever. The Kionzia marched onto the continent to forge empires in the dirt, while the Chaladir entrenched themselves on the island, binding their souls to the cold brine. While the Xi'an Order's grand archives and mainland histories have completely lost the true names and deeds of these original founders, students of this antediluvian age believe the Chaladir have never forgotten a single detail. Because they are the direct, unbroken lineage of the first ancient mariners, they still maintain their own private secret histories. Through preserved logs, oral chants, and sea charts hidden from mainland eyes, they safeguard an ancient heritage that the scholars of Bressus naively assume is long dead and buried beneath the dust of eras. Today, in 10FA, or Frozen Age, the Chaladir maintain an absolute, ruthless grip over Chiad Acarsaid through a sovereign known as the Sea King. While countless rulers have held the tide throne over the centuries, the current Sea King is a man named Frentis Wars. He is a giant bear of a man, imposing in stature, who loves his drink almost as much as he loves his women. Yet behind his boisterous and hedonistic exterior lies a calculating, vicious strategist. Over his 25-year reign, Frentis Wars has transformed the Chaladir from isolated islanders into a terrifyingly profitable mercantile and naval powerhouse. Under his banner, fleets of deadly corsairs regularly slip out from the island's mist-shrouded coves to strike at coastal settlements. They raid the shorelines of Fall Est, Quill, and even the heavily guarded shores of Hollis, dragging bound captives into the dark holds of their longships. Frentis Wars has systematically built a brutal human trafficking network, feeding a thriving, horrifying slave trade between Bressus and Locaston. To protect this lucrative dominion, foreign ships are strictly forbidden from passing their naval blockade. Any unauthorized vessel entering these waters is hunted without mercy. However, the Chaladir scouts continuously monitor the desperate smugglers sneaking through the shadows between the continents. They tolerate these black market runners only so long as they pay their unspoken dues, but stand ready to strike the very second anyone strays too close to their territorial waters. Yet for all their localized aggression, the Chaladir are looking even further outward into the unknown world. Whispers persist among maritime taverns that they maintain secret diplomatic and trade contact with their original homeland across the vast expanse of the Prolix Sea. Furthermore, bold rumors suggest their heavy longships have been venturing far to the south, pushing past the brutal waves of the Ruiz Ocean to explore the uncharted coastlines of the southern continent. But as formidable as Frentis Wars' Corsair empire seems, An island of Chiad Acarsaid itself is an unpredictable, terrifying hellscape. The surrounding sea is violently hostile. Seasonal hurricanes regularly pound the jagged cliffs with catastrophic force, throwing monster waves over the sea walls. Deep beneath the surface, active subaquatic volcanoes bubble and groan continuously, venting plume clouds of superheated gas and spewing fresh magma, slowly expanding the island's landmass from below year after violent year. And then there are the ancient, bizarre mysteries hidden within the island's interior. Deep beneath the rock, sprawling through a subterranean network of flooded volcanic caverns, sailors speak of a legendary sea dragon's lair, an ancient primordial leviathan sleeping in the scalding pitch-black depths below the tide lines. Meanwhile, high above the surf, where the island's steep, jungle-draped volcanic peaks pierce through the clouds, lives a reclusive, sentient avian culture. These feathered beings rule the high canopy, guarding their mountainous perches and keeping an eternal silent watch over the violent corsairs operating on the beaches far below. Perhaps most ominous of all, however, are the island's original inhabitants. Driven off the main landmass by the arriving Shaladir centuries ago, these primitive locals were forced onto the scattered barren islets surrounding the harbor, utterly isolated from the rest of the world. They are deeply attuned to the strange magics of the archipelago and practice dark, potent witchcraft born of isolation and vengeful anger. Their hatred for the Shaladir runs exceptionally deep. Back in 1710 AM, during an aggressive push by the mariners to expand their slaving operations into these outer islets, the native shamans retaliated with horrific force. A swift, horrifying wasting disease suddenly swept through the mariners' ships and shore camps like wildfire, a grotesque sickness universally believed to be a deadly curse conjured by these native practitioners. The biological and supernatural toll was so devastating, rotting crews at their oars and turning entire warships into floating tombs, that the Shaladir immediately pulled back. To this very day, the Sea King enforced a strict, absolute no-contact policy with these cursed islanders, leaving them to their dark rituals on the outer rocks. Chiad Acarsaid is a land of profound, deadly contradictions. An antediluvian mariner sanctuary turned brutal corsair stronghold, flanked by dragon-filled ocean depths, avian-ruled canopy peaks, and cursed mist-shrouded islets. What true secrets do the Shaladir keep from their ancestral homes across the Prolic Sea? And could the terrifying leviathan sleeping in those volcanic sea caverns one day stir to shatter Frentis War's ironclad blockade? Only your home campaign can answer these questions, as the future of these DireLands are in your hands. Thank you for watching today's DireLands Fantasy Campaign Setting episode. Subscribe and ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to click the like button and comment to let others learn about this system-agnostic, dark fantasy tabletop role-playing game campaign setting. I'd like to invite you to become a patron on Patreon, remind you that you can join my actual plays and get $10 by signing up to startplaying.games, and even pick up other tabletop role-playing games using my affiliate link in the description below. Thank you to creator patrons Aaron Hardy and D. Robert Handy, producer patrons David Galindo and Joe Lyons, and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz. And as always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live, so get out there and be evil.